Listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is going to completely change everything you thought you knew about XRP and the cryptocurrency market. We are at the most critical moment in financial history, and if you're not paying attention right now, you're going to miss the opportunity of a lifetime. I've been analyzing the markets for years, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that we are about to witness something unprecedented. The whales are moving, the institutions are positioning themselves, and the signs are everywhere for those who know how to read them. First, let me tell you what's happening right now in the cryptocurrency world that has everyone on edge. We're in the middle of the most decisive week we've seen in months. The Federal Reserve is about to make a move that will shake every single market on the planet. We're talking about interest rate cuts that could be as significant as 50 basis points. And when that happens on September 17th, everything is going to explode. But here's what the mainstream media isn't telling you. While everyone is focused on Bitcoin reaching new highs and the S&P 500 hitting record levels, something much bigger is happening behind the scenes. Something that involves XRP, JP Morgan, and a financial revolution that most people don't even see coming. Let me start with the most shocking revelation. JP Morgan, the same bank that once called Bitcoin a fraud, is now quietly partnering with institutions that have direct ties to Ripple. I'm talking about SBI Group, one of the most powerful financial conglomerates in Japan. And they're not just testing the waters anymore. They're going all in. Just a few weeks ago, we saw the announcement that Ripple and SBI are planning to launch Ripple USD distribution in Japan by 2026. But what happened next is what really caught my attention. JP Morgan suddenly announces a partnership with SBI Shinsei Bank, which is owned by the same SBI Group, to launch a digital deposit currency token using blockchain technology. Coincidence? I don't think so. This is a calculated move, and I'm going to explain exactly why this matters more than anything else happening in crypto right now. You see, JP Morgan isn't just any bank. They're one of the most influential financial institutions in the world, and they don't make moves like this without having a master plan. Their JPY coin project isn't just about digitizing the Japanese yen. It's about creating a bridge between traditional banking and the new financial system that Ripple has been building for years. But here's where it gets really interesting. The technology they're using for atomic settlements and smart contracts. It's the exact same infrastructure that XRP has been developing since day one. We're talking about instant cross-border payments, real-time settlement, and liquidity solutions that can handle billions of dollars without breaking a sweat. Now let me tell you what's happening on-chain, because this is where the real story unfolds. The XRP whales are not sleeping. I've been monitoring the blockchain data, and what I'm seeing is absolutely mind-blowing. Wallets holding between 10 million and 100 million XRP have been accumulating aggressively over the past few weeks. After a significant distribution period that had many people worried, these institutional-level wallets are now buying back in massive quantities. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars worth of XRP being accumulated by entities that clearly know something the rest of the market doesn't. The pattern is unmistakable. These aren't retail investors making emotional decisions. These are sophisticated players with inside information, and they're positioning themselves for something big. Let me break down the technical analysis for you because this is crucial. XRP recently touched the 0.63 level, which was a key resistance area we've been watching for months. The price action over the weekend created a reversal pattern that seasoned traders recognize immediately. We're seeing a double bottom formation at around 0.60, with strong support holding despite the broader market uncertainty. But here's what's really telling. The volume profile shows that all the weak hands have been shaken out. The liquidity that was sitting above current levels has been absorbed. And now we're in a position where any significant buying pressure is going to send the price absolutely parabolic. The order blocks between 0.63 and 0.65 are going to be the key levels to watch. Once we break through that resistance with conviction, we're looking at a clear path to 0.75 and potentially even higher if the institutional news continues to flow. Now, let's talk about what's really driving this market, because this is where things get controversial. Tether just printed another $1 billion in USDT out of nowhere. That's not an accident. That's preparation for what's coming. Since January, we've seen over $30 billion in new stablecoins minted across all platforms. This isn't just random money printing. This is strategic positioning for the next phase of the bull market. And XRP is positioned to capture a significant portion of that liquidity. But here's what makes me really excited about XRP specifically. The recent security update they announced, XLS86, is game-changing for institutional adoption. This isn't just about protecting individual wallets. This is about creating enterprise-level security that banks and financial institutions require before they can handle billions of dollars in transactions. Think about it. If you're JP Morgan or any other major bank, you need bulletproof security before you can trust a cryptocurrency network with your client's money. This update allows institutions to set daily transfer limits, create whitelists of approved addresses, and implement multiple layers of protection that simply didn't exist before. This isn't speculation. This is preparation for real-world adoption at a scale that most people can't even comprehend. Now, let me tell you about the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. The regulatory landscape in the United States is about to change dramatically, and XRP is positioned better than any other cryptocurrency to benefit from this shift. We've seen how Tether is scrambling to create a US-compliant stablecoin because they know their current USDT model isn't sustainable under the new regulations coming down the pipeline. But XRP has been fighting this battle in court for years, and they're about to come out the other side stronger than ever. The Ripple versus SEC case isn't just about one company. It's about establishing the regulatory framework for the entire cryptocurrency industry. And when the dust settles, XRP is going to be one of the few cryptocurrencies with complete regulatory clarity in the United States. This is why the institutions are accumulating now. They know that once the regulatory uncertainty is removed, XRP is going to become the go-to digital asset for cross-border payments and institutional liquidity management. But let's talk about what's happening in Japan, because this is where the real action is taking place. Japan isn't just testing blockchain technology. They're building the infrastructure for a completely new financial system, and Ripple is at the center of it all. The Bank of Japan is working on a central bank digital currency, and guess what technology they're evaluating? The same technology that powers the XRP ledger. They're looking at atomic settlements, smart contracts, and instant finality. All features that XRP has been perfecting for over a decade. SBI Group isn't just a random partner in this equation. They're one of the largest financial services companies in Asia, and they've been working with Ripple since 2016. This isn't a new relationship. This is a long-term strategic partnership that's finally reaching maturity. When SBI launches Ripple USD in Japan, it's not just going to be another stablecoin. It's going to be the bridge between the traditional Japanese financial system and the global cryptocurrency ecosystem. And XRP is going to be the liquidity engine that makes it all possible. Now here's where things get really interesting from a trading perspective. The macro environment couldn't be better for risk assets like XRP. We're looking at potential interest rate cuts of 50 basis points this Wednesday, which is going to flood the market with liquidity. Gold is already at all-time highs, anticipating this move. The S&P 500 is in price discovery mode. Bitcoin is hovering near its recent peaks. All the ingredients are in place for a massive risk-on rally, and XRP is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries. But here's what makes this moment so special. Unlike previous bull markets, where retail investors drove the price action, this time it's different. The institutions are leading the charge. The smart money is accumulating while retail is still on the sidelines, scared by the regulatory uncertainty and media FUD. This creates an incredible opportunity for those who understand what's really happening. We're in the calm before the storm, and when this thing breaks out, it's going to be explosive. Let me share some specific data points that should get your attention. Network growth for XRP has been steady, but not explosive yet. We're seeing about 4,500 new wallets created daily, which is respectable, but not the kind of euphoric numbers we see at market tops. This tells me we're still early in this cycle. Whale transaction volumes have been trending down over the past few weeks, which typically happens right before major moves. The big players are done positioning, and now they're waiting for the catalyst that's going to trigger the next leg up. Transaction volumes are also relatively calm, which creates the perfect setup for a volatility explosion when the news hits. Low volume environments are like compressed springs. When they release, the moves are massive. From a technical standpoint, XRP has been consolidating in a tight range between 0.60 and 0.65 for several weeks now. This type of price action usually precedes significant breakouts in either direction. Given the fundamental backdrop we just discussed, the bias is clearly to the upside. The inefficiencies in the price chart around the 0.66 level are going to act as magnets once we break higher. These gaps in the price action need to be filled. And when they are, we're looking at potential targets in the 0.75 to 0.80 range as the first major resistance zone. But here's where I think most people are underestimating the potential. If the institutional adoption thesis plays out the way I think it will, we're not talking about a move to 0.80. We're talking about a move that could take XRP to $2, $3, or even $5 over the coming months. I know that sounds aggressive, but let me put this in perspective. XRP's market cap at $1 would be roughly 100 billion. That's still smaller than Ethereum's current market cap. For a cryptocurrency that's designed to handle trillions of dollars in daily transaction volume for the global financial system, a $100 billion market cap is actually conservative. The key is understanding that we're not in a normal cryptocurrency bull market anymore. We're in the early stages of a fundamental transformation of the global financial system. Central banks are going digital. Commercial banks are adopting blockchain technology. Cross-border payments are moving from correspondent banking to real-time settlement networks. XRP isn't just a cryptocurrency that might go up in price. It's the infrastructure layer for this new financial system. And infrastructure plays don't just double or triple in value. They can increase by orders of magnitude when adoption reaches critical mass. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. A lot of people are skeptical about XRP because of its association with Ripple and the centralization concerns. I get it. These are valid concerns in the traditional cryptocurrency narrative. But here's what you need to understand. The traditional cryptocurrency narrative is changing. Decentralization for the sake of decentralization isn't what institutions care about. They care about regulatory compliance, transaction speed, cost efficiency, and scalability. XRP delivers on all of these fronts better than any other major cryptocurrency. The XRP ledger is fast, cheap, and energy efficient. It can handle the transaction volumes that institutions require. And it's being built with regulatory compliance as a core feature, not an afterthought. This is why JP Morgan is comfortable working with SBI on blockchain projects. This is why central banks are evaluating XRP ledger technology. This is why some of the largest banks in the world are quietly building on Ripple's infrastructure. The market is slowly waking up to this reality, but we're still early enough that the opportunity exists for those who position themselves correctly. Let me share a controversial opinion that might upset some Bitcoin maximalists. I believe XRP is going to outperform Bitcoin significantly over the next 12-18 months. Not because Bitcoin is bad, but because XRP is solving real-world problems for the largest institutions in the world. Bitcoin is digital gold. It's a store of value. It's important for portfolio diversification and inflation hedging. But it's not going to revolutionize the way banks move money around the world. XRP is. When pension funds and sovereign wealth funds start allocating to cryptocurrencies at scale, they're not going to choose assets based on ideology or decentralization philosophy. They're going to choose assets that provide utility, regulatory clarity, and integration with existing financial infrastructure. XRP checks all these boxes. Bitcoin checks some of them. Most other cryptocurrencies check none of them. This is why I'm so bullish on XRP specifically, even though I'm bullish on the cryptocurrency space in general. We're approaching an inflection point where utility is going to matter more than narrative, and XRP has more real-world utility than almost any other cryptocurrency in existence. The partnership dynamics we're seeing between Ripple, JP Morgan, SBI, and other major institutions aren't happening in isolation. They're part of a coordinated effort to build the infrastructure for the next generation financial system. Central bank digital currencies are coming whether we like it or not. Cross-border payment rails are being upgraded. Foreign exchange settlement is moving to blockchain-based systems. Liquidity management for banks is being revolutionized. XRP is positioned at the center of all these trends. It's not just benefiting from one use case. It's benefiting from the entire transformation of how money moves around the world. This is why the price action we're seeing now is so significant. The institutions aren't buying XRP because they think it might go up. They're buying XRP because they know they're going to need it to operate their businesses in the future. When you understand this fundamental shift, the current price volatility becomes much less important. We're not trading a speculative asset anymore. We're accumulating shares in the infrastructure of the future financial system. The technical analysis supports this narrative beautifully. The consolidation we've seen over the past few months isn't bearish distribution. It's institutional accumulation, happening in a controlled manner to avoid moving the price too dramatically while positions are being built. The volume patterns confirm this. We're seeing consistent buying pressure at support levels, but without the explosive retail buying that characterizes bubble tops. This is smart money accumulation, and it's setting up for a move that's going to surprise even experienced traders. Interest rate policy is about to become much more accommodative, which is going to drive capital into risk assets. But not all risk assets are created equal. The capital is going to flow toward assets that have real utility and institutional backing. XRP has both. The utility case is proven through years of development and real-world testing. The institutional backing is evident through the partnerships and adoption we're seeing across multiple continents. The timing couldn't be better. We're at the intersection of accommodative monetary policy, institutional cryptocurrency adoption, and regulatory clarity for XRP specifically. These three factors rarely align, but when they do, the results can be spectacular. I want to be clear about something. I'm not promising that XRP is going to the moon next week. Markets don't work that way. What I'm telling you is that all the fundamental pieces are in place for a significant re-rating of XRP's value over the coming months. The key is understanding that we're not in a typical pump and dump scenario. We're in the early stages of genuine institutional adoption, and that process takes time to fully play out. But for those who position themselves correctly and have patience, the rewards could be life-changing. The macro environment is supportive. The technical setup is bullish. The fundamental developments are accelerating. The institutional adoption is real. The regulatory landscape is clarifying. All of these factors are converging at the same time, creating what I believe is the best risk-reward opportunity in the cryptocurrency market right now. Wednesday's Federal Reserve meeting is going to be the catalyst that starts the next phase of this bull market. When interest rates drop and liquidity floods back into risk assets, XRP is going to be one of the primary beneficiaries. The whales know this. The institutions know this. The question is, do you know this? This is not financial advice. This is analysis based on data, partnerships, technical patterns, and macro trends. But if you're looking for asymmetric upside opportunities in a world where most assets are already expensive, XRP deserves serious consideration. The setup is perfect. The timing is right. The opportunity is real. The only question is whether you're going to act on it or watch from the sidelines as institutions and whales position themselves for what could be the biggest financial transformation of our lifetimes. Remember, in bull markets, the biggest gains come from assets that have been overlooked and undervalued during bear markets. XRP has been exactly that for the past few years. But that's about to change. The market is about to wake up to what the institutions already know. XRP isn't just another cryptocurrency. It's the foundation of the future financial system. And if you understand that, you understand why the current price levels represent such an incredible opportunity for those willing to think beyond the next few weeks and focus on the next few years. The revolution is just beginning. The question is, are you going to be part of it?